Yo, yo, what's up, Unbroken Nation? I hope you guys are doing well. What I want to talk to you guys about today is thinking about what it means to show up in your life in a way that is about you. It's about you coming into your power, into your truth. One of the things that I learned early on in my healing journey that my therapist taught me that I want to share with you today is this concept that change only happens when you make change happen. For so many of us, we wait, we sit, we hope, we try to secret our way into success. But the greatest change that you're ever going to see in your life is only going to come when you make a decision. And I think that's really difficult when you come from understanding and having a background where there's fear in being who you are. There's fear in showing up as your authentic self because of the shame, the guilt, the potential ramifications that come along with living and really showing up in authenticity and your truth. So I'll share a story with you. About 5 years ago, actually, probably 6 years ago now, after I'd been going to see my therapist every week for years, every Wednesday night, 5 o'clock p.m., go to my therapist's office. And I would sit there and I would talk to him. And then I would share all of the crazy shit that happened in my life. I would share my mother cutting my finger off. I would share being molested. I would share being homeless. I would share stealing food to survive. I would share stealing money from family members. I would share breaking into houses and stealing cars and running with guns and hurting people. I would share the abuse of having my face slammed into walls and being beaten to the point that I passed out. I would share the fact that my mother would overdose on pills and crash her car and try to kill my brothers and I when she was having manic depressive episodes. I would share all these things. And one day I'm sitting there sharing these things, and my therapist looked at me and I was telling him, I don't want to be here anymore. Not like on earth, because I'd made a decision to live. Not on earth, but I didn't want to be in his office anymore. I was tired of looking at it. I was tired of walking in that room every Wednesday for years and sitting down and drinking the same disgusting chamomile tea and having these conversations about how much my life sucked, about how much I was so tired of always having it rain on me, about how it was always the world against me. And he looked at me and he said, I get it. And he did get it. One of the things that I loved about my therapist, one of the things I love to this day about that man is that he does get it because his background was just as crazy as mine. And so when he talked to me, like I related, that's one of the things that I think people really fail to understand in this journey is that you have to be able to relate to the people that you're learning from.
Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Just want to take a moment and invite you to be my guest at Think Unbroken Conference this November. That's right. Think Unbroken is hosting our Unbroken Con for free. It's 5 days of trauma transformation information with myself, special guests, and even some of the leading experts in trauma education from around the world. For 5 days, we're going to jump into what it means to actually take the steps to be unbroken. All you have to do is register for free at unbrokencon.com. That's unbrokencon.com. That's right. 5 days of trauma transformation information with me, special guests, and some of the world's leading trauma trained experts for free for 5 days this November. More details to come. But in the meantime, go to unbrokencon.com to register, and I'll see you there.
It doesn't do you a lot of good to go through learning through people who have never done the thing you're trying to do. That's why we created Unbroken Conference, because we want to be able to educate people who have gone through this. And the speakers we've had lined up for Unbroken Con are unbelievable. We're going to start announcing those folks in October, but you can register for free right now if you go to unbrokencon.com, unbrokencon.com, unbrokencon.com. It's going to be amazing, transformative experience, because what I realized in his office is the same thing that I'm trying to do now. And that's to teach you, but to be in your path, you have to be willing to learn. And so I'm sitting in his therapist's office and we're having these conversations. I'm sharing the darkness, the pain, the suffering, the guilt, the shame, the hurt, all of the things that I didn't share before because I was terrified, because I was scared, because I was afraid that he even would judge me in the safest place that he would judge me. And as I shared and I told him, I don't want to be in this room with you anymore, man. I'm tired of looking at your stupid face every week. He said something to me. He goes, "Do you want to change your life?" And I was like, "That's the whole fucking point. I'm in this room, man. If I didn't want to change my life, I wouldn't even be here." He goes, "Yeah, I get that. But do you want to change your life?" And I was like, I just answered the question. And this is one of the things that a good coach does, a good therapist does, someone that is a mentor to you. If they're good, they're going to do this. Same thing he did to me. He asked me again. So, do you want to change your life? And I said, yeah. And he goes, "Look, change only happens when you make change happen." And in that moment, one of the things that I realized that became profoundly impactful and important in my life is that I was the person who was going to change my life. He was giving me the tools. My coach was giving me the tools. All of the audiobooks, all the podcasts, all the courses, all the seminars, all the education, all the conversations, all of the men's group therapy and AA and NA and all of the travel and the experience, all that was giving me the tools. But with that tool in my hand, I had to create something. And so many of us don't create something. We take the tools and we sit there and we put them on the shelf and they get dusty and we dust them off and we go, "Oh, okay, it's all good. I'll get to them tomorrow. I'll build that thing that I want to build tomorrow. I'll create that thing I want to create tomorrow." And then one day, if you're unfortunate enough, you're going to run out of tomorrows and realize you never built the thing that you wanted to build. And so I'm getting all this education. I'm learning all these things. I'm spending all of this time, effort, energy, and money. I actually put together the numbers one time because I was curious. I was like, how much have I really invested in myself? How much have I really done here over the course of the last 12 years since I made the decision to change my life? And I put together a spreadsheet and I realized I've invested over $270,000 in 6,400 hours of therapy, coaching, personal development, and self-education. Because when I sat across from him, I realized that up until that point, I'd been doing incremental changes, which you need. You have to have the incremental changes because incremental changes create momentum. And with momentum, you create massive changes. But when I started this journey at 25 years old, heading into 26, my shoes cost more money than the entirety of what I invested into my own personal development. And so I'm sitting there across from him. And he's asked me, "Do you want to change? Do you want to change? Do you want this?" I'm saying like, "Yeah, man, I want it. That's why I'm here." And he said to me, one of the most important things anybody's ever said. He said to me, "Change only happens when you make change happen." If you're listening to this, and you're paying attention to what I just said, I want you to sit in that. Change only happens when we make change happen. And it can be scary to change. It can be scary to transform. It can be scary to let go of the old narratives, the limiting self-beliefs, the ideal, the person that we think we should be because other people told us that we should be it. It's scary to do that. But you have to do it anyway. Because if you don't, then inevitably the thing that will happen, my biggest fear, the thing that has driven me probably more so than anything on planet Earth, is I don't want to die with regret.
Hey, Unbroken Nation, we'll be right back to the show, but I wanted to let you know that you can grab a copy of my first book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free. If you go to book.thinkunbroken.com, you can download the PDF ebook version of the book and get everything that I know about the baseline of healing trauma for free, downloaded to your email right now. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to download your copy of Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma for a PDF for your phone. Again, that is book.thinkunbroken.com.
And so many people on this planet are going to die with regret because they're terrified of the transformation. Because when you look at the understanding that where you're at now doesn't have to be where you are, but you have to get new tools that you actually use to get to where you want to go, then you have to close a gap. And when you're closing that gap, you're learning, you're growing. You're not only learning and growing externally, but, and more importantly, internally. You're learning to love yourself. You're learning to show up in your boundaries, your wants, your needs, your interests. You look at those tools that you've gathered over the years, all the conferences, all the personal development, all the YouTube, all the self-education, all the books. And then you realize if you want to be the person that you're destined to be, you have to build yourself. You have to create yourself. When I wrote Think Unbroken, one of the parts of the book starts with create you, because that's how this works. If you want change in your life, you want transformation in your life, you want healing in your life, you want to live into the potential of those dreams that you have at night that you think about all of the time, where you're like, oh my God, what if? You can have it, but you have to make a decision. You have to take an action. You have to show up for yourself. And most importantly, you have to be willing to do it with other people. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they think to themselves, I will figure this out on my own. Well, let me tell you this, after 6,400 hours of coaching, personal development, therapy, groups, anonymous groups, and over $250,000 invested in myself, literally my life savings, to the point where I sold shit that I owned just to go to therapy, where I borrowed money to pay for rent so I could go to coaching. Let me tell you this. When you make those decisions to show up for yourself and not make excuses, everything about your life can be different. But my friend, change only happens when you make change happen. And ain't nobody coming to save you. Nobody's coming to give you that dream that you have of being the person who is healed, who doesn't carry shame, who doesn't carry guilt, who loves themselves, who can look in the mirror and be okay with the reflection. The only person who's going to give that to you is you. And the only way you're going to give that to yourself is by making a decision and by choosing to show up for yourself. And these are just a small portion of the ideals, the tools, the actual executionable actions that you are going to learn during the Think Unbroken conference. It's totally free to watch live. And so if you have not signed up yet, go to unbrokencon.com to join us this November. Just today, I got confirmation from one of the leading trauma experts on freaking planet Earth that they're going to come and be a part of this and help us. Because ultimately, we're all in this together. And so if you can watch live, it's totally free. Go to unbrokencon.com and make a decision. Because you see, change, again, only happens when you make change happen. Doesn't do you any good to watch this, to listen to the podcast, to get on the YouTube, if you aren't going to do anything with it, because you're just wasting your time. Don't even sign up for the conference if you ain't going to show up and do something about your life, because you're taking a spot from somebody else who wants to be there. But my hope is that you'll show up, that you'll be there, that you'll live into your authentic self. You'll come with vulnerability, and you'll leave with courage and strength and transform your trauma into triumph. My friends, let me tell you this. I'm simply one of you. I have been there. I've been at rock bottom. I've seen the worst of myself. I've seen the worst of humanity. I've done things that I don't even want to get into right now because there's not enough time, and I might go to prison because I don't know if the statutes of limitations have been raised. But the one thing that I do know is that life is very different from where it started. From being that hurt, lost little boy, from being abused, from being abandoned, from being an orphan, from not graduating high school, to being 350 pounds overweight and smoking 2 packs a day and being $50,000 in debt and putting a gun in my mouth. Life is very different because I made a decision. And I'm not sitting here preaching from the pulpit, talking down to you. I'm standing across from you, talking to you as my friend, as my peer, as my brothers and my sisters, and letting you know the fucking truth that you can have the life that you want to have, but only you can give you that life. And so I hope you'll come and join us at Unbroken Con. It's going to be an amazing, transformative experience. It's online, it's virtual. So if you don't have access to a plane or a car or a boat or a train, it doesn't matter. You can watch it wherever you are. So come and join us at unbrokencon.com. And until then, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see ya.
We'll be right back to the show, my friend, but I wanted to let you know about our brand new podcast community for Think Unbroken podcast. I know that for so many trauma survivors like myself, for the longest time, I felt alone, like nobody got it, nobody understood, and that I was just going to have to figure this out on my own. But that's not true. And the reason why we created our brand new Think Unbroken Academy podcast community is so that we can bring all the members of the Unbroken Nation together in a place where we can learn, grow, heal, change, and transform our trauma into triumph. I would love to have you come and be a part of the brand new community. Just check out thinkunbrokenacademy.com or click the link in the podcast description. And I cannot wait to see you there, my friend. Again, just head over to thinkunbrokenacademy.com. And until then, be unbroken. Thank you so much for listening to Think Unbroken. Please share this episode with someone who could use it and help us move forward in our mission of ending generational trauma in our lifetime. And if you would, please take 5 seconds to pop on iTunes or Spotify, hit that 5-star, leave a review, and you can also reach out to us on social at Michael Unbroken or at Think Unbroken. And of course, you can check out our YouTube channel at Think Unbroken. Thank you for being a part of Unbroken Nation, my friends, and until next time, be unbroken.